Part 40. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 395. The old man who claimed to be from the Hu family smiled and nodded. What this hero said is right. Being entertained with good wine and meat in my Hu family, and having everyone go to the room to rest when you are drunk is much better than being in the cold wind and rain in this shabby palace. Let's go and have a wedding drink. I've had enough of this miserable palace. Everyone shouted and got up, pushing each other and leaving the hall. Su Junming mingled with the crowd, and followed the flow of people and walked towards the back hall under the leadership of the old man. He wanted to see what tricks these monsters were playing. The stone slabs were a little slippery after the rain, and the weeds growing out of the cracks in the stones were wet by the rain, making the group's robes somewhat messy. Everyone walked up the steps, 1 foot deep and 1 foot shallow, under the dim light of a few lanterns. After passing around a century-old pine with 6 or 7 people hugging each other and a cloud-like crown, the vision suddenly opened up. A brightly lit deep mansion appeared in front of you. Passing through the hundreds of square meters of bluestone platform, you are faced with a vermilion-colored gate with an animal face holding a ring. Set off by the stone lions on both sides, the courtyard gate supported by 2 pillars looks particularly majestic. A row of red lanterns with happy characters on them were hung outside the courtyard gate. Under the red candlelight, they looked joyful. 4 boys in black shorts stood at the door. Seeing a group of people coming, they hurriedly greeted them. Butler Hu. These people are all distinguished guests invited by me. You open the middle door to welcome them. There was a hint of surprise on the boy's face, and he subconsciously looked towards the crowd behind him. What are you looking at? Go quickly. Yes, little one, go right here. The boy quickly ran inside and opened the middle door. Everyone, please come in. The bustling crowd filed in. Su Junming walked among the crowd, glanced at the old man in front of him, and showed an intriguing smile. Entering the gate and bypassing the screen wall, you will find a very spacious courtyard paved with bluestone. Directly opposite, there is a hall with cornices and brackets, black tiles and red walls, and huge pillars supporting the top, which is 3 feet high. On both sides are 2 smaller side halls. The entire courtyard, including the 3 main halls, was decorated with lights and colorful decorations, making it very lively. Men, women, and children all dressed in costumes were sitting around 20 tables placed in the center of the courtyard, chatting and laughing. Seeing them coming in, an old man wearing a Yuanwei hat and a gorgeous gown, holding a wooden staff, walked over accompanied by a heroic young man. Everyone, this is the owner of our Hujiazhuang. Sir, these are the guests staying at Qinglian Temple in front of us. According to your instructions, I have invited them back. Thank you for your hard work, housekeeper. After nodding, the old village owner quickly glanced at everyone. Although he acted very cryptically, Su Junming still keenly felt the obvious pause when he saw himself. Dear guests, I am Hu Bagui, the owner of the Hu family village. Today happens to be the day when I am marrying my daughter, and it is a good time for you all to meet up, so why don't you stay and have a glass of water and wine, and share in the happiness of my Hu family. Old owner, you're very polite. It's an honor for us to be invited here by you. As long as the old owner doesn't think I'm vulgar. Old owner, you're welcome. A series of cheers sounded, and they, confused by the spell, had lost their vigilance. Haha, in that case, please take a seat, everyone. One by one, beautiful little maids wearing long skirts came over and led everyone to sit down at the empty table next to them. Su Junming originally wanted to follow the crowd and find a corner to sit down and see what the trouble was with this group of monsters. As soon as she moved her feet, she was stopped by a little maid in a red dress. Taoist Master Jinan, the owner of my village, has always respected Taoism and specially reserved a seat for the Taoist master. Oh! Su Junming turned to look at the old village owner. After Hu Bagui smiled and nodded, he did not come over, but turned to greet the others. Looking at his back, Su Junming smiled faintly. Interesting. Taoist priest, please come with me. Lead the way. Under the leadership of the maid, we actually came to the central table. Master Taoist, please sit down. You really want me to sit here? This is what the old owner ordered. Su Junming nodded and sat down without asking any more questions. Apart from him, there was also a tall and thin old man on the entire table. This man had high cheekbones and looked a bit stern. At this moment, his eyes were closed tightly, as if he was in a daze. Next to him sat an old lady with frosty hair, a kind face, and a harmless appearance. Noticing his gaze, she nodded with a smile but said nothing. However, Su Junming keenly felt a hint of deep worry from the depths of her eyes. After thinking for a moment, he turned and looked at the table. The food was rich and there were many spiritual fruits. Moreover, the food on his table was obviously better than the other tables. The most important thing is that these meals are not magical illusions, but real meals that people can eat. After greeting the guests, Hu Bagui returned to the main table in the middle. Bowed to Su Junming. Taoist priest, there are many guests today. I am old and incompetent, and many of them are negligent. I hope you will bear with me. Master Hu, you're welcome. Taoist master, please sit down. At this time, the old housekeeper who had left before hurried in. Master, my uncle's bike frame will be here soon. Hu Bagui stood up quickly. Miss, are you ready? The maid next to the lady just came to report. She is ready. That's good. As soon as he finished speaking, he heard gongs and drums beating outside, and the extremely festive suana sounded. Uncle is here. Accompanied by the voice of joy, surrounded by several servants, a handsome man dressed in red and colorful, full of joy, stepped in. Surrounded by everyone, he came closer and bowed deeply to Hu Bagui. My son-in-law pays homage to my father-in-law. Hu Bagui nodded with a smile and said, Sunyang is waiting for you in the backyard. Go quickly. The man nodded and was about to turn around. Wait. A sharp shout attracted everyone's attention. The man also stopped subconsciously. Sitting in front of Su Junming's left side, the tall and thin man who had previously closed his eyes slowly stood up. The corners of his mouth curled up, with a faint smile on his face. Brother, the auspicious time is not here, so why worry? Besides, according to folk customs, if you come to get married, the groom will inevitably have to test it. Otherwise, wouldn't it be against the rules and breaking the rules? Hu Bagui's expression changed slightly. Third brother, my Hu family is special and we don't have to stick to common etiquette. As for the auspicious time, it only lasts for a stick of incense. It will be almost done when Kyugwan goes to the backyard to pick up Sunyang. Brother, I'm afraid it's inappropriate to do this. Hu Bagui took a deep breath, and his eyes suddenly became sharp. What do you think, third brother? Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 396. Chapter 389 The Ninth Prince. Looking at his elder brother's sharp eyes, Hu Baiun smiled faintly. Brother, now that the matter has come to an end, let's just open the skylight and speak frankly. Although our ancestor Zheng Kyugwan was kind to our Jinhua family, we have raised him up and taught him Taoism for so many years, and we have never given him less medicine. This kindness has been exhausted. Furthermore, my niece is born with the blood of the three-tailed spirit fox and is naturally beautiful. If she marries the ninth prince and joins the Longjiang Shui tribe, my Jinhua family will rise quickly. Third uncle, Sunyang, and I have been childhood sweethearts since childhood. We have a deep love for each other, and we are engaged. How could you regret the marriage and marry Sunyang to him? What's more, if my parents hadn't fought to save them back then, I'm afraid third uncle would have been there long ago. He who died in the ancient cave of Longsu Island would not be as famous as the third elder of the Jinhuahu family today. As the groom's official, Zheng Qiuguan sounded angry. Hu Baiun looked at him, his eyes full of cold murderous intent. I think you are young and ignorant, so I don't bother to argue with you for your outrageous remarks. If you still think about the toad and want to eat the swan meat, don't blame me for not remembering the old feelings and killing you at the palm of my hand. You. Zheng Qiuguan's face was full of anger, but knowing that his cultivation was not good enough, he suppressed the anger in his heart and looked at Hu Bagui. Please ask my father-in-law to seek justice. Hu Bagui pressed down his left hand to signal him to calm down, then turned his head with a majestic tone. Third brother, the marriage between Qiuguan and Sun Yang was decided 20 years ago. Although brother Zheng and his wife are no longer here, if our Jinhuahu family regrets their marriage, won't we be ridiculed in the spiritual world in the future? Who will you still associate with us? Brother is too old-fashioned. The strong are respected in the cultivation world. As long as our Jinhuahu family is strong enough, why worry about not having friends in the cultivation world? Hu Baiun shook his head. When you are really in trouble, no matter how many fair-weather friends you have, it's useless, and they will add insult to injury. After all, the strength is still insufficient. Just like the Chongshan master Su Junming, since he was born, he leveled the Daheng mountain, killed the remnants of the Chongyang cave, and destroyed the Black Heart demon section. He has always been alone and overwhelmed the world with his overwhelming strength. Now in the Daong cultivation world all the heroes bowed their heads, and even the Xianjing division took the initiative to befriend him. It can be seen that strong strength is the foundation for the cultivation world to settle down. The rest, whether it is relationships or connections, all serve this purpose, otherwise it is putting the cart before the horse. Hu Baiun turned his head and spoke decisively. Brother, only by forming a good relationship with the Longjiang Shui clan can I, the Jinhuahu clan, obtain sufficient training resources, cultivate strong nascent souls, and become a great clan. Seeing the fanatical admiration for strength in his eyes, Su Junming shook his head inwardly. Unexpectedly, his image in Hu Baiun's heart was actually like this. But thinking about it carefully, it seems that he really believes in what Hu Baiun said, and that strength trumps all else. But Hu Baiun wants to do whatever it takes, and he still has his own persistence. Third brother, what you said is too absolute. Su Zhenren is powerful, but he is a true cultivator who kills demons and protects the common people. Pursuing magic power by any means is the method of the devil. Hu Bagui shook his head. Hu Baiun sighed. It seems that you and I, brothers, can't get together after all. Sensing the abnormality in his tone, Hu Bagui frowned and was about to speak when he was interrupted by Hu Baiun. Brother, you are too soft-hearted and you are no longer worthy of being the clan leader of the Jinhuahu clan. Baiun, what are you talking nonsense about? The old lady who had been silent until now slowly stood up, revealing her perfect cultivation of the golden elixir. A powerful momentum swept the scene. Mom, after tonight, the position of chief of the Jinhuahu clan will be mine. Shut up, do you know what you are talking about? The old lady said angrily. Hu Baiun smiled faintly, took out a jade talisman from his arms, and crushed it into pieces with a bang. In an instant, spiritual energy surged around Hu Jiazhuang, and spiritual light bloomed. A transparent shield rose into the sky, covering the entire Hu Jiazhuang. Obviously, this is a powerful formation. Third brother, how dare you collude with outsiders and betray my Hu clan? Hu Bagui said in shock and anger. Haha, how can this be said to be a traitor to the clan? I'm just helping the clan make a right choice. As soon as he finished speaking, there was a bang and the heavy courtyard door was pushed open with great force. Accompanied by the sound of footsteps approaching from far away, a noble young man wearing a blue dragon robe, holding a folding fan, wearing a feather crown on his head, with 2 strands of black hair hanging down his shoulders, walked in. Behind him were a general with a golden helmet and a long sword in his hand, and a group of soldiers with helmets and armor and strong breaths. Seeing the person coming, Hubayun took 2 steps forward and bowed to salute. Hubayun has met the 9th prince. Get up. The tone was like giving orders to a slave, which made Hubayun secretly resentful, but the huge gap in strength made him hide all his anger deep in his heart. Shaking the folding fan in his hand, the young master took a few steps forward, and his narrow eyes quickly swept over Hubagui and the others. It seems like we haven't reached an agreement yet. Hubagui took a deep breath, took 2 steps forward, and said respectfully. Hubagui, the head of the Hu family in Jinhua, has met the 9th prince. Ao Shen glanced at Hubagui, who was bowing to salute, held up his folding fan, and clasped his fists casually. Master Hu, my prince has always admired Miss Husan's charm and wants to take her as my concubine. What do you think? This. Before Hubagui could speak, Zheng Qiuguan, who was full of enthusiasm, couldn't help but cursed. You are a yin dragon, relying on your own power to bully men and women, and do all kinds of evil. Ao Shen's expression turned cold, and with a wave of his hand, a powerful force of magic went straight towards Zheng Qiuguan. Hubagui's expression changed and he flew up. The 9th prince will show mercy. Boom. The strong wind blew up, the dust flew up, and the food on the table was blown away. The people around who came with Su Junming were blown away by the strong wind, and they fell to the ground and turned into gourds. Den, 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 he took more than 10 steps back. After Hubagui pushed down the blood pressure from his chest, he quickly clasped his fists. I hope the 9th prince will temporarily extinguish his thunderous wrath. Not return. The expression of the old woman who had been standing next to him suddenly changed, and she stepped forward to block her son's way, looking at Ryuko on the other side warily. If the prince continues to be aggressive, I will fight you Longjiang Shui tribe to the end, even if I risk my wealth or my life. Fight to the end? Haha, I'm afraid that the total of your Jinhuahu family's 139 mouths won't be enough for this prince's oolong fan to fan you. With a sarcastic smile, he took back his palm and fanned the gold-painted folding fan in his hand, and his expression became cold. My prince's time is precious and cannot be wasted in this remote country. Mr. Hu, do you agree to this marriage? I promise. A crisp voice filled with infinite sorrow and indignation suddenly came from the backyard. Everyone turned to look, and a beautiful young woman wearing a bright red robe and a phoenix crown appeared in front of them. Sun Yang. Xiu'er. In the different eyes of everyone, women came one after another. Phoenix eyes looked directly at the 9th prince. As long as you let everyone in my Hu family go, I am willing to marry you. Sun Yang, what are you talking nonsense about? Have you forgotten our oath of love? Zheng Qiuguan rushed out and shouted excitedly. 2 lines of clear tears fell from the corners of Hu Sun Yang's eyes. Brother Qiuguan, Sun Yang doesn't want to pay you, but the 139 members of my Hu family cannot die because of me. Zheng Qiuguan's eyes were about to burst, he clenched his fists, his nails dug into his flesh, and he felt extremely angry. He hated his own cultivation more than ever. Why was he so weak? He can't even protect the woman he loves. Just when he was furious and ready to fight the 9th prince of the dragon clan, a generous hand stretched out from behind and pressed his shoulder. Hubagui took 2 steps forward and gently wiped the tears from his daughter's eyes. Don't cry, my father is there for everything. Dad. Woohoo. Turning his head, he looked at the proud 9th prince. My daughter has been married to Qiuguan for a long time. Although my sworn brother has passed away long ago, our Hu family, although they are beasts, are also people who keep their promises. Although the prince has a noble status, he will inherit the dragon in the future. The dragon king of the Jiangshui tribe has the hope of achieving Yuan Shen, but my Hu family really doesn't dare to reach that high. The smile on the ninth prince's face faltered, and his expression instantly darkened. It was hard for him to believe that in the face of absolute strength, he still dared to reject himself. Are the bones of the Hu family really so hard? Brother, are you really going to kill me, the Jinhua Hu family, for a marriage contract? Hu Baiun said angrily. After looking at him, Hu Bagui straightened his clothes, took 2 steps forward, and bowed his arms to the end. I hope that the seniors will act righteously and save my Hu family from fire and water. The juniors will be grateful. Everyone's eyes instantly turned to the green-robed Taoist priest who had been ignored by them before. There was no mana fluctuation in this person, so everyone including the ninth prince Ao Shen ignored him. I thought he was just like the people around him, ordinary people who had never practiced cultivation. But if he were really an ordinary person, he would probably have been crushed by their aura to the point of peeing. How would he sit there and admire it with interest like this person? Su Junming glanced at him lightly. You know me? Do not know. Hu Bagui quickly shook his head. Since we don't know each other, why did you let the housekeeper use the enchantment technique to bring the people in the front hall of Qinglian Temple and me here to attend the wedding banquet of your Hu family? And you specifically put me at the head table. Now you are even more sure that I can solve your Hu family's crisis. Looking at his eyes that seemed to penetrate deep into the heart, an unconcealable pressure instantly overflowed in my heart. Su Junming squeezed his fingers with his right hand. Shaking God. After practicing the Tao of the Soul for nearly 100 years, his understanding of the Tao of the Soul is only 1 step away from entering the fairyland. Various spells targeting the soul are becoming more and more abundant. The God-shaking technique is one of them, which can effectively destroy the psychological defenses of the ascetics. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 397. Under Su Junming's shaking God technique, a strong panic instantly rose from the bottom of Hu Bagui's heart, and dense sweat seeped out from his forehead. In a hurry, all the previous hesitations disappeared instantly. I have a secret treasure that can calculate the secrets of heaven. After saying that, Hu Bagui's panic disappeared, but after calming down, he instantly regretted it. But if you say it out loud, it's like throwing water out. It's too late to regret it. In that case, can you give me a look? Su Junming was very curious about what kind of treasure could actually calculate his whereabouts. You must know that his cultivation of the path of destiny has now reached the realm of Yuanying Red Talisman, and he is only 1 step away from breaking through to the realm of Yuan Shen Purple Talisman. Unless one understands the way of destiny to the realm of Yuan Shen, there is no way to find his whereabouts. Hu Bagui knew that the strength of the man in front of him was unfathomable. After nodding, he took out a basin copper ball from the bag. This is the treasure, senior, please take a look at it. Ao Shen's eyes flashed, and he reached out to grab it like lightning. My prince wants this treasure. A ray of light flashed, and Ao Shen instantly felt an extremely powerful force of confinement emerging out of thin air, and his physical body and nascent soul were instantly suppressed. Click, Ao Shen, who had exhausted all his forward strength and had no strength behind him, fell straight to the ground. This scene instantly caused the shrimp soldiers and crab generals who came with them to lose their cool. Prince! You are such a monster! The furious Longjiang sailor was about to charge forward with his gun and sword drawn, but Su Junming picked up his bamboo stick and swiped it casually. After a flash of emerald light, all the shrimp soldiers and crab generals turned into clay statues like Ao Shen and fell to the ground with a bang. Seeing this scene, the Hu brothers and everyone else's eyes widened instantly, with disbelief on their faces. Su Junming waved his hand, and the big iron ball fell into his palm. His spiritual consciousness infiltrated, and with his cultivation and magic power, he instantly soaked into the restrictions in the iron ball. The best spiritual treasure. Su Junming felt a little more excited. Subconsciously, he began to practice, and at the same time, he activated the bronze mirror to understand the mystery of this treasure. Lines of spiritual light rippled along with obscure magic power. The tyrannical momentum instantly made everyone in the Hu family retreat. After retreating dozens of meters, everyone felt better. Looking at the green-robed Taoist surrounded by spiritual light, Mrs. Hu turned her head. "Bagui, where did you find this real person?" "Mom, I didn't find this person, but this real person just happened to meet you. Just the right moment." Hu Bagui nodded. Ever since the third brother revealed that the third prince of the Longjiang Shui tribe is interested in Sun Yang, I have used the secret ball to deduce the future. All the results are that if I refuse this marriage, my Jinhua family will be extinct soon. But just a few days ago, the Tianji ball hexagram suddenly changed, and a purple energy came from the north. Tianji showed that if I can get the help of this purple energy, not only will the crisis of my Jinhua family be solved, but also a great opportunity will come. So, the child hastily organized this wedding banquet, and used this as an excuse to invite all the passing traffickers and lackeys to our Hu family, in order not to miss this person with purple energy. I see. No wonder you are in such a hurry to have this wedding. It turns out there is such a reason hidden in it. The old lady looked astonished. This matter is related to the safety of my Jinhua family. I also ask my mother to forgive my child for concealing the crime before. The old lady waved her hand. Forget it, you did nothing wrong in this matter. It's just that what kind of treasure is this secret ball? It has such power and can actually deduce secrets. Looking at the copper ball spinning rapidly in the hands of the green-robed Taoist, Hu Bagui's face showed a look of memory. Does mother still remember the ancient cave of Longxiu Island that was born 20 years ago? Of course I remember. This incident caused an uproar in the entire Kuiji province and the East China Sea cultivation world, and countless people lost their lives. My child, my third brother, and my husband and wife Zheng Jiaxian, who are sworn friends to Jinlan, were exploring Longxiu Island together. We got this treasure in a secret room in the ancient cave. For it, Kaiguan's parents would have risked their lives for it. Please save me, my third brother and I almost died inside. I, Hu Bagui, have no choice but to repay the favor of saving my life. Therefore, even if there is a threat from the Longjiang Shui tribe, I will promise Sun Yang to Kaiguan to repay my kindness. Hu Bagui showed a determined look on his face, but quickly sighed. It's a pity that my child's qualifications are limited. The article Tianji Shushu is obscure and difficult to understand. After 20 years of training, I can only scratch the surface. It is even more difficult to fully utilize this Tianji divine ball. Otherwise, my Hu family would not have this disaster. The old lady patted him on the shoulder. My son, there is no need to blame yourself, you have done a good job. After hesitating for a while, the old lady said, my mother has no objection to you marrying Sun Yang to Kaiguan. I just ask you to spare your third brother's life for the sake of my compatriots. He glanced at Hu Baiun, who was lying on the ground like a clay statue with a frightened expression. After hesitating for a moment, Hu Bagui nodded. Don't worry, mother, the third brother is just confused for a moment. The child will not hurt him. That's good, that's good. Putting aside her biggest worries and looking at the green-robed Taoist with a broad aura in the room, the old lady's eyes were full of curiosity. Whose last name is the senior? With such a level of cultivation, he must not be an unknown person. Hu Bagui nodded in agreement. His eyes widened instantly, his mouth opened slightly, and there was a hint of shock on his face. I saw the copper ball as big as a wash basin suddenly decomposed, as if thousands of building blocks were rearranged, and soon there was a ring 3 feet 3 inches in diameter, 1 inch wide and 1 inch thick, purple in body, with countless mysterious symbols engraved on the surface. Appears outside the sphere. Followed by the second one, the same width and thickness, but slightly smaller in diameter, a red ring appeared. 1, 2, until 12 rings appeared, and a blue-white mass, like a galaxy of air in the sky, appeared in front of everyone. Hungxiang! Huba Gui exclaimed. My son, what is a muddy image? The old lady asked curiously. According to the records in the Tianji magic numbers obtained by the child, only by cultivating the Tianji divine ball to its peak can the mud elephant be reproduced. The mud elephant contains lifelong fortunes, which is the basis for the Tianji divine ball to calculate the Tianji. After finishing his words, he looked at the King Bao Taoist whose aura was swelling. This person has such a high level of Huxiang Dao cultivation. The muddy image is destiny, and the way of the muddy image is the way of destiny. Su Junming slowly opened his eyes, and the long light shot out, like cold lightning flying through the air, and disappeared in a flash. Looking at the heavenly secret divine ball in my hand that had a drastically changed image, I felt more and more satisfied. This item is not only of high grade, but also rare. It is very suitable for the destiny method of one's own practice. Although he has never regarded the Tao of Destiny as his main Taoist practice, every time the blessing of the bronze mirror improves his understanding, he will take the time to understand it. In the past 100 years, this Tao has reached the pinnacle of the Dao Red basic talisman realm. This treasure is suitable to be my destiny treasure. He turned around and looked at Huba Gui and others who were looking at this place not far away. Just wait and come here. When Hu Buletin returned, the old lady of the Hu family and others came over quickly. Mr. Hu Xian pays homage to the real person. The old lady of the Hu family bowed her head. Hu Bagui meets the real person. Zheng Kaiuguan and Hu Sunyang followed quickly and bowed to worship. No need to be polite, just get up. Several people stood up quickly. I am Su Junming, the real person of Chongshan. What? A series of exclamations instantly interrupted his next words. Frowning, why, do you think I'm lying? No, no, we have absolutely no intention of doing so. Please don't misunderstand me. Master Hubagui waved his hands repeatedly. The aura revealed by this person just now was extremely powerful, very similar to the rumored Chongshan master Su Junming, who dominated the world and was vaguely revered as the #1 cultivator in the world and the sage craftsman. Moreover, even if he wasn't, the opponent's cultivation was so strong that they couldn't resist it. I have been waiting for a long time to hear the name of the real person, and today I saw the beautiful face. I was so excited that I lost my composure. I hope you can forgive me. Waving his hand, Su Junming didn't want to worry about this. Forget it. I ask you, how did you get this divine orb? Hubagui repeated what he had said to his mother before. The ancient cave of Longxiu Island. When this cave was born, he was still digesting the proceeds from the Chongyang cave in Bihaiyan, so he did not go there. As a result, his third disciple Chiao Shaoxin got a lot of treasures from it. Not only did the 7 treasures flower basket given by Su Junming become a spiritual treasure, but he also got a precious, top-grade magic weapon level pill furnace. I see. After nodding, Su Junming spread his palms and said, show me the heavenly techniques you obtained. Hubagui did not dare to neglect, and quickly took out an extremely ancient gold book from the magic bag. He stretched out his hand and the golden book fell into the palm of his hand. After spreading it out, nearly 10,000 words came into view. This is. Seeing the center of the golden book, which occupies nearly a quarter of the page, is extremely complex, seems to contain endless changes, and reveals infinite divine power, with infinite magical words or patterns. My face showed uncontrollable excitement. Ancient divine texts. The ancient divine writings are the predecessors of the eclipse writings. Each ancient divine writing is closer to the avenue, and its power is naturally more powerful. It's a pity that such extremely complicated and extremely tyrannical words are too difficult to understand and are not conducive to preaching. Therefore, in modern times, the ancestors of the human race simplified the eclipse text from the divine text into a simpler and easier to understand eclipse text. Su Junming is undoubtedly very yearning for ancient divine texts. However, due to the loss of inheritance, the ancient divine texts he has seen are very rare. It wasn't until he obtained the Netherworld White Bone Flag from the old demon of Black Mountain that he obtained the first complete ancient divine inscription. Thus, we have a basic understanding of this powerful text. However, he never expected that he would inadvertently receive such an amazing inheritance in this mountainous place. Fortunately, I had a fortune telling when I came out. Otherwise, if I had walked through Dangian Mountain and turned into the Longjiang River to go south, I'm afraid I wouldn't have gotten this benefit. Happy Mid-Autumn Festival to everyone. There's still a palm at 10 o'clock in the evening. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 398. After taking a deep breath to calm down the excitement in his heart, Su Junming looked at the terrified Hu family opposite. After being glanced at by him, Hu Bagui felt a clever idea. Fearing that this person would seize the treasure and silence him, he immediately said, "Thank you, Master, for saving my Hu family from fire and water. Hu Bagui is willing to donate the treasure to Master." Although he deeply regretted telling the story about the heavenly mystery ball, now that it had happened, he knew that he couldn't keep this treasure, so he simply gave it away. Hu Bagui had seen too many cases where a man was guilty of carrying a jade when he was innocent. Su Junming smiled lightly. "You are cautious, but I am not as shameless as you think. I do want this baby, but I don't want it for nothing." He opened his left palm and a jade slip flew out. "I see that you are practicing water-based exercises. I have a copy of the water-based exercises left by Yuan Shen monks. I will give them to you today." Seeing the jade slip flying towards him, Hu Bagui caught it with both hands, immersed his consciousness in it and sat for a while to contemplate. His expression instantly became excited. The path of cultivation is more difficult to cultivate than the power of magic. Even if your magic power is not enough, as long as you work hard enough or have enough elixirs, you can always keep improving. But Taoism is not like this. It requires not only a high level of understanding, but also continuous enlightenment day after day. Even if you don't have enough understanding and don't have the guidance of a teacher, it's normal for you to be unable to make any progress for several years or even more than 10 years. The Jinhuahu clan is just a Jindan demon clan. Although the inheritance has been passed down for hundreds of years, most of the inheritance left behind in the clan, especially the cultivation experience, are at the first level of Jindan. There are very few at the nascent soul level and only at the Yuan Shen level. Even more so. Now that I have this experience, Jinhuahu's heritage has undoubtedly taken a big step forward. Thank you Taoist priest for giving me the Dharma. Hu Bagui is deeply grateful. He waved his hand. No need to thank me. I'll take your secret book of Tianji Shushu and pass on your experience in practicing the water element. I'll repay you with repayment. We won't owe each other anything. When the words fell, he flicked his fingers. A blue robe and a sword flew towards Hu Bagui. This Shuiyu Taoist robe is the magic weapon that I have practiced to complete the 12 levels of treasures. The Deluo Dharma sword also has 9 levels of treasures. The 2 treasures are one for offense and one for defense. They cooperate with each other to double the combat power. I will give them to you today. In addition, I will save you from the death of the Jinhuahu family, and I will take over the threat from the Longjiang Shui tribe. In exchange, I will take away this divine ball of heaven. It's all up to real people. Hu Bagui was excited and nodded quickly. Although he knew that the mystery ball might be more precious that day, holding it in his hands for 20 years was only slightly mysterious. Compared with a top-grade magic weapon with 12 legal restrictions or a top-grade magic weapon with 9 legal restrictions, Hubagui chose the latter two. If he had these two treasures before, he wouldn't have to be afraid of the ninth prince of the Longjiang Shui tribe. Of course, he still felt a little reluctant to let go of the divine orb that could bring good luck and avoid disaster. Although this treasure had neither attack nor defense capabilities, it could help him avoid death. However, Hubagui also understood that the current result was already the best. If it were those more greedy high-level cultivators, let alone giving him treasures, they would probably wipe out the Jinhuahu clan to avoid leaking the news. Do you know Daheng Mountain? I know. When the real person destroyed the demon clan of Daheng Mountain and beheaded the Sirius king, he shocked the world. Hubagui quickly complimented. After glancing at him, Su Junming didn't bother to care about some small thoughts. After tonight, move your family there. It's too close to Longjiang and it's too dangerous for you. Yes, I'll leave tonight. Su Junming thought for a while, then waved his hand, and a jade talisman flew into Hubagui's palm. This talisman seals my 3 styles of Taoism. It can protect my life in times of crisis. Hubagui was excited and tightly held the jade talisman in his hand. Thank you so much for the gift. With a casual wave of his hand, the divine ball of heaven sank into his body. He grabbed the bamboo stick next to him and walked outside casually. Congratulations to the real person. Su Junming waved his hand and waved his sleeves, and the ninth prince and his entourage who fell on the ground flew into his sleeves and disappeared. For the sake of the divine ball, Hubaiyun did not move. After erasing his memory, he left it to Hubagui to deal with it himself. At the same time, a green light flew from the bamboo stick, grabbing the ordinary people invited by Hubagui, leaving Hu's house and walking down the mountain. After he left, Hu Sunyang breathed a sigh of relief. Dad, is he really the famous evil star? Hubagui rolled his eyes. Shut up and respect your benefactor. Without the pressure of life and death, Hu Sunyang also regained her girlish innocence, pouting her mouth. It is rumored that the Chongshan master Su Junming is tall, likes to wear green robes, and holds a bamboo stick in his hand. As the man dressed up just now, he looks just like Master Su Zheng, Kyugwen said. Hubagui nodded. Kyugwen, Sunyang, you two must keep today's matter a secret and never reveal anything to the outside world. I got it, Dad. Yes, Uncle Ho. Looking at Zheng Kyugwen, although there have been many twists and turns today, you and Sunyang are considered married. Don't call me Uncle Hu in the future. Zheng Kyugwen's expression froze, and a huge joy surged into his heart. Idiot, change your tune quickly. Zheng Kyugwen, who was poked in the waist by Hu Sunyang, reacted instantly and quickly pressed his fist to the end. Kyugwen, no, my son-in-law pays homage to his father-in-law. Hubagui brushed his short beard on his chin, with a look of satisfaction on his face. Get up. I hope you will be harmonious with Sunyangkins and practice immortality together. My son-in-law will never forget the teachings of my father-in-law. After Hubagui nodded, he turned to look at Hubaiyun, who had been awakened by his mother, but was confused and seemed to be in a state of dementia. He sighed in his heart and breathed a sigh of relief. You go and pack up, we will set off to Daheng Mountain immediately. Yes. Ah. Zhang Yude opened his eyes and yawned. After gradually waking up, Zhang Yude did not stand up immediately. He first looked around cautiously, and then carefully put his hand into his crotch. I touched it and found that the banknotes sewn into the inner pocket of the pants were all there. After heaving a sigh of relief, he got up and woke up a few guys. As soon as they made a noise, the people around them also woke up. Taoist priest, how was your rest yesterday? Su Junming, who was meditating, opened his eyes, smiled faintly, and nodded slightly. Looking at the layman's appearance, I think he had a good rest yesterday. In order to keep it secret, he had erased everyone's memories of last night. I slept well too. If I hadn't been on the road today, I would have loved to sleep a few more hours. Su Junming stood up, grabbed the bamboo stick and walked out of the hall. After the rain, the air in the mountain forest is particularly fresh. The flowers, plants, and trees that have washed away the dust are alluringly green. From a distance, they look like fine emeralds. Birds also like the vibrant woods, chirping early in the morning. Looking from a distance, clouds of bluish-white mist rise from the mountains, curling up and disappearing. They are particularly beautiful against the backdrop of the green mountains and forests. The morning sun rises from the east, spreading a warm golden color over the mountains and forests, dispelling the coldness of the morning after the rain. Taking a deep breath, the fresh air poured into the lungs, making people feel refreshed. After his spiritual consciousness dispersed, the two halls of Qinglian Temple behind the mountain were empty. The Hu family of Jinhua, who once regarded this place as their home, had moved their whole family, as he said. However, some of the little tales still need to be dealt with. After thinking about it, he walked towards the back of the mountain with his bamboo stick. Taoist priest, where are you going? I'll go take a look at the back. You don't have to wait for me. You can go on your own after breakfast. Looking at his leaving figure, Zhang Yude opened his mouth, but in the end he didn't say anything more. Turning his head and looking at the two palaces behind the mountain, he shuddered in his heart when he thought of the legend about Qinglian Temple. Although it was daytime, he still didn't have the courage to go to the back mountain. Arriving at the back mountain, Su Junming waved his hand, and a series of spiritual lights flew by. All the auras left by the Hu family in Jinhua were wiped away by him. Without these, no matter how good the tracking Lingbao is, it will not be able to trace Jinhua Hu's traces. That alone is not enough. The right palm spreads out, and a spiritual light blooms. 12 rings are connected together, and a blue-white galaxy shines in the middle. A beautiful and mysterious spiritual treasure flies out from the palm. It was the secret divine ball that he got from Hu Bagui. Because he himself has a profound understanding of destiny, coupled with the assistance of the bronze mirror. In just one night, he understood most of the mystery of this heavenly mystery divine ball, plus the reference of the heavenly mystery magic number. Su Junming finally mastered a lot of the secret skills that he originally lacked. The hands are crossed, the seals are changed, and along with the spiritual light, the 12 rings of the heavenly secret ball spin rapidly. At the same time, countless bright white light spots emerged from the blue-white galaxy in the center, covering the sky with chaos. The aura of the heavenly secret divine ball was generous, and it lasted for 3 moments before slowly weakening. Putting away the secret divine ball, Su Junming counted it with his fingers and nodded with satisfaction. The Hongxiang of covering the sky is the secret technique of covering the heavens recorded in the Tianji techniques. As long as this technique is used, unless someone has a higher level of cultivation than him in the path of destiny, or has a spirit treasure of the path of destiny that surpasses the divine ball of heaven, it will be impossible to deduce the whereabouts of the Jinhua Hu family. In this way, as long as they don't seek death, they are considered safe. He grabbed the green bamboo stick, took one last look at the dilapidated Buddhist temple in front of him, took a step, and disappeared instantly. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 399. Looking at the city hidden in the low hills in front of him, Su Junming walked over with a bamboo stick in hand. Huh? Mana fluctuations. As soon as he took a step, his body disappeared instantly. When he reappeared, he had arrived at a small river. You two little kids are really ignorant. Mother-in-law, I am a true immortal in the sky. I decided to recruit disciples because of your extraordinary qualifications. Why don't you stop quickly and kneel down to become your disciples? A thin old woman wearing a purple robe, wearing a thorn hairpin on her head, and a giant snake coiled around her waist said sternly. Opposite her, stood two cute little girls with pink makeup and beautiful designs. The little girl on the left is wearing a white floral skirt, deerskin boots with pierced ears, tassels on her waist, gold rings on each hand, and a bow in her hair. There is a hint of solemnity on her round face. The little girl on the right is wearing a lilac floral skirt and the same pair of deerskin boots. There is a gold necklace hanging on her pink and white neck. Her big round eyes are constantly rotating, revealing the stock spirit is strong. Above the heads of two little girls, who were at most 5 or 6 years old, floated a spiritual talisman the size of an adult's palm, silver white in color, etched inside, and filled with endless cold air. "Senior, we already have a master, we can't accept you as our master," the little girl in white dress said solemnly. After taking a greedy look at the talismans above the heads of the two little dolls. "Who is your master? Tell me, mother-in-law, I will listen." The little purple girl rolled her eyes and said sweetly, "Our master is called Ice Phoenix Fairy, and our master is the famous Master Chongshan." "Master Chongshan Su Junming!" the old woman exclaimed, her face full of fear. But soon he became angry. "Damn little beast, how dare you lie to me?" In today's spiritual practice world, who doesn't know that Chongshan Master Su Junming has only 2 true disciples under his sect? One is the Kongsang fairy Jiao Shaoxin, and the other is the bearded swordsman Yan Chixia, who was taken under her disciple on Tianmen Mountain outside Zhongzhou City 6 years ago. There is no such thing as the Ice Phoenix Fairy. Who lied to you? You are shameless in blaming others for your ignorance. As he spoke, the little girl in purple made a face. "Damn it, wait until I capture my mother-in-law before I take care of you." His hands were flying in seals. "Xian snake." The black python wrapped around her waist opened its huge mouth, and countless black streams of light flew towards the two little girls like lightning. "Yuechi, Xianbing sword." "I know, sister." The small hand seals of the two little girls bullying Shuang Sixiu flew, and more than 33-foot ice swords emerged from the void, flying towards the black snake with great fierceness. As soon as the two sides touched, there was a bang-bang sound, and the black stream of light turned into broken snakes and fell to the ground. The smelly and extremely corrosive snake blood spread all over the river. If it was contaminated, the flowers, plants and trees would wither instantly, and even the stubborn rocks would melt. However, the ice sword was extremely sharp and quickly cut off all the black snakes. The little girl in purple glanced at the ground, a look of disgust appeared on her round little face, and her chubby little hands kept flashing in front of her pretty nose. "It stinks, it stinks. Old witch, what other methods do you have?" "No, Yuechi, hold your breath." The relatively calm little girl in white's face changed drastically and she quickly exclaimed, "Elder sister." Before she could finish speaking, the little girl in purple felt dizzy and her little body started to sway. "Sister, I'm so dizzy." Although the little girl in white noticed something was wrong, it was a little too late. She felt a little dizzy now, and the magic power in her dantian became sluggish. "Haha, no matter how cunning you two little beasts are, you will still drink my mother-in-law's foot-washing water in the end. Today is really good luck. Not only can you get 2 top-quality cauldrons, but you can also get 2 mysterious ice magic weapons." After saying that, he reached out and grabbed it, and the magic power surged towards the two little girls. Just when the two of them were about to fall into the clutches of the devil, an emerald light flew over. Under the light, the old woman, the magical weapon in her hand and the python at her waist froze in an instant. Su Junming stepped forward and with a wave of his hand, the toxins on the two little girls were immediately removed. "I'm fine, sister," the little girl in purple said in surprise. "Thank you, uncle, for saving your life." The little girl in white was much more stable than her younger sister, and she quickly bowed to Su Junming. "Thank you, uncle." After reacting, the little girl in purple also hurriedly thanked her, but her big black eyes and her consciousness were more unbridled than her sister's. This uncle suddenly appeared in front of her. Compared to her, who is only 2 feet tall, Su Junming, who is nearly 7 feet tall, is indeed considered big. But compared to the old godly woman who disgusted her, this uncle had an aura that made her feel close to him. Very warm and comfortable. The feeling of cuddling instinctively arises in my heart. Good boy. He stretched out his right hand and touched the heads of the 2 little girls. They were usually extremely wary of strangers, but this time they instinctively did not avoid them. Of course, this is not because they are not wary of strangers, but because Su Junming cast a little spell. This technique is a technique that he learned by combining the Buddhist Duhua and the demon clan's charm technique. It can make strangers put down their guard and feel close. The soft and smooth hair became a little messy as Su Junming stroked it. Are you the sister? The little girl in white nodded affirmatively. May I have your name? My name is Qingfeng, Fu Qingfeng. My name is Fu Yueqi, uncle, what's your name? The little girl in purple asked proactively. Smiling slightly, you will know soon. When he retracted his palm and looked at the old woman, his expression became cold. Seeing the fear in her eyes, Su Junming said calmly. You don't have to be afraid. Although you deserve to be killed, I won't bully the small one. The cause and effect will come from the 2 sisters who will come to you to settle the matter. Go away. With a wave of his sleeves, a violent wave swept up the old woman and flew more than 10 miles away in an instant. The strong wind disappeared, and the old woman fell down and gnawed her shit. Her hair was messy, her clothes were disheveled, and she was in an extremely embarrassed state. He got up from the ground, but he didn't dare to leave a word of complaint and ran away lifelessly. Although she is arrogant, she is not stupid. There was a huge gap in cultivation between him and the green-robed Taoist. Uncle, that old godly woman is bad. How could you let her go? Fu Yueqi said angrily, puffing out his cheeks. Yueqi, don't be rude to uncle. Snored. After being scolded by her sister, the unhappy little girl pouted and stopped talking. Uncle, it's getting late, we have to go back. After Fu Qingfeng finished speaking, he took his sister and left. Although she didn't say anything, she obviously had some objections to Su Junming letting go, the old godly woman who almost killed them. Children are always simple at heart and do not consider so many rights and wrongs. Seeing the 2 people's backs gradually disappearing, Su Junming showed a smile on his face. My elder sister is steady, and my younger sister is an elf. They are a good couple for practicing Taoism. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 400. Chapter 393 Shen Yui Niang. Sister, that Taoist is so powerful. A ray of green light immobilized the old godly woman. If only I could be so powerful. On the way home, Fu Yueqi still couldn't forget the last scene. There is longing in the big eyes. It would be great if I could do this. Fu Qingfeng nodded in agreement. The old aunt said that our cultivation qualifications are extremely good. As long as we practice hard, we will definitely have great abilities in the future. Fu Yueqi also nodded, but soon his brows furrowed, his tone full of annoyance. But my old aunt never taught us how to practice. Although we have a master, we have never met one. I really don't know when we can officially start practicing. Fu Qingfeng's mood also became depressed. Since the 2 of them realized the wonders of the accompanying spiritual talisman in their dantian, they have been extremely eager to practice. I begged Aunt Xia many times, but she said nothing and would not teach them the cultivation techniques. He just told them that before they were born, they were already taken under the tutelage of a monk with great magical powers. There would be no shortage of skills in the future, let alone the guidance of a brilliant master. But 3 years later, they have never seen their master. However, the talisman associated with Danshan became more and more easy to use. Moreover, every time I use it, there will be a hint of insights about the ice in my heart. Over time, over 3 years, an ice talisman was automatically derived from the Danshan, and one could master it without a teacher, and entered the realm of ice. Sister, we're home. Let's go through the back door. We must not be discovered by mother. Don't worry, my mother didn't notice me sneaking out last time. A look of pride appeared on Fuyuechi's face. The little sisters walked in tandem, choosing places with few people, and soon came to the back door of a big house. Seeing no one around, Fuyuechi exerted force on her legs, and her little body jumped, leaping 3 feet high. Her slender feet he stepped hard on the tree trunk next to him. After the relay, his body flew 3 feet into the air. He pressed his little hand on the wall and instantly turned over. The movements were clean and neat, it was obviously not the first time. Sister, come here quickly, there is no one. Fu Qingfeng took a deep breath, and like his sister, he climbed over the 2-meter-high courtyard wall and jumped into the yard after a brief relay on the willow tree next to him. The 2 sisters held hands. When they saw no one around, they took steps and ran towards their residence. As soon as they entered the door, they saw a beautiful young woman sitting on an armchair in the middle of the hall. The smile on his face froze instantly. Wearing a long gown with colorful flowers and butterflies, a golden 8-treasure hairpin on her head, and jade bracelets on her hands, the young woman who exudes nobility and has a beautiful face is full of anger at this moment. Bang, he slapped the table, making the little sister tremble in fright. Come in. Fu Qingfeng and Fuyuechi walked in nervously, one behind the other. Fu Qingfeng quickly took 2 steps forward and knelt down. Mom, I took my sister to play by the river. If you want to punish me alone. Fuyuechi also knelt down immediately. I took my sister there. If you want to punish me, then punish me. Okay, you sisters are so united, the woman said with anger on her face. Chiume. The maid wearing a blue gown next to her took 2 steps forward. Lady. Please give me some advice. Madam, the 2 ladies are still young. Little ones are so bold. If they are not punished today, will they rebel when they are older? Go quickly. The maid didn't dare to neglect, turned around and entered the room. After a short time, a cane was hidden and came in. He walked very slowly, and looked at the little sister kneeling on the ground with pity in his eyes. The woman took 2 steps forward and grabbed the cane with her hands. Hand out. The little sisters obediently stretched out their white and tender little palms. The woman gritted her teeth, suppressed her heartache, and knocked the cane down from her hand. There was a pop sound, and Fu Qingfeng shivered all over. The pain from her palm stimulated her nerves, making her almost cry. 3 canes were pulled down in succession, and the white and tender palms turned red. Compared to his elder sister, the quirky Fuyuechi burst into tears before the cane fell. The loudness of her voice, coupled with her chubby apple face, can make even a hard-hearted person feel pity. Oh, mother, I don't dare to do that anymore. The woman's heart trembled, and the falling cane couldn't help but slow down a bit, but she quickly struck it down with force. She knew her little daughter, a weird elf, very well. Even if she cried miserably, she was probably just pretending. If she felt pity in her heart today, she would give him a fight. Tomorrow she still has a short memory. Not only will she make a mess at home, but she will also trick her sister into running away. Ba bang bang. 3 times in a row, Fuyuechi's little palm quickly turned red. This time the fake crying turned into real crying, and big drops of tears flowed down her cheeks. The woman who hardened her heart and tightened her face began to lecture loudly. If you run out without my permission again in the future, don't blame me for slapping you on the palm. This time it's 3 times, and if it happens again, I'll hit you 6 times. Do you remember everything? Remember? Holding the sore little palms, the little sister nodded quickly. Squeak, the door opened, and a middle-aged man wearing a navy blue robe, a feather crown on his head, and 3 strands of long beard on his chin, with a refined air and a hint of majesty, stepped in. What's going on here? Daddy! Fu Yueqi cried out, rushed over and hugged the visitor's thigh. Fu Qingfeng was about to go over, but before he could move, he heard the woman say angrily, Yueqi, did I ask you to get up? Come here and kneel down. Fu Yueqi shuddered and came back obediently, kneeling next to her sister. It is said that a daughter is her father's caring little cotton-padded jacket. Seeing the aggrieved appearance of his 2 daughters, the man felt pity in his heart. Yu Niang, they are still young. Even if they make mistakes, they can just teach them a lesson. Why should they be so harsh? Shen Yuiniang had a cold face. As the old saying goes, you look old at the age of 3. Look at your 2 precious daughters. They don't even read books, even female celebrities. The gentleman who invited them has already been angry for 8 years. That's all, now. I am even more daring and dare to sneak out of the house to play. You said that the world is so chaotic now, and these 2 little kids who don't understand anything, if something happens to them, how will a mother like me live? After saying this, 2 lines of tears flowed from the corners of his eyes. When he saw his wife crying, the man quickly stepped forward to comfort her. By the way, he winked at his 2 daughters. Tell your mother now and never dare to do it again. Mom, I will study hard from now on and never leave the house without permission again, Fu Qingfeng said. Fu Yueqi also nodded. Yu Niang, you see Qingfeng and Yueqi and you know they are wrong. The ground is so cold, let them get up quickly. Shen Yuiniang wiped her tears and tightened her face again. Today, for your father's sake, I won't kneel down as punishment. Next time, see how I deal with you. Get up. After receiving permission, the little sisters helped each other and climbed up cautiously. Despite their young age, they looked a little miserable after being beaten a few times. In fact, the 2 little guys have been nourished by the ice talisman from birth to now, and their bodies are stronger than many adults in adulthood. Although Shen Yuiniang's cane was hit hard, it was just a pain in the flesh and it subsided quickly. Kai Ame, go to my room and get the safflower oil from the drawer. After the lesson was over, Shen Yuiniang began to feel sorry for her 2 daughters. After the maid heard this, she quickly walked into the bedroom. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 401. Just as Shen Yuiniang was applying medicine to her 2 daughters distressedly, a young boy in Xingyi knocked on the door and walked in. Master, there is a Taoist outside the door asking to see you. Taoist? The boy nodded affirmatively. He said he was an old friend of the master's. My old friend, after Fuyun frowned and thought for a moment, there was a touch of excitement in his eyes, and he said quickly, the person who came here is tall and majestic, with a black mole on his chin. Exactly. Sure enough, it came. Sure enough, it came. Looking at her increasingly excited husband, Shen Yuiniang said in surprise, MS Sir, who is here? It's the Chongshan master Su Junming and Su Daozang who once cured my cold illness as I mentioned to you before. It's him. Shen Yuiniang was slightly startled. After the 2 got married, Fuyun mentioned this Taoist priest to her more than once. But Shen Yuiniang subconsciously hugged her 2 little children. Hurry, hurry, Fu Wang, open the middle door. I want to welcome the Taoist priest in person. Yes, sir. The boy in green clothes turned around and ran out. Fuyun tidied his clothes. Madam, the Taoist priest has been very kind to me. Now you and I are one. Please clean up quickly and follow me out to greet you. Master, go ahead and tidy up for your wife. I'll be there right away. Okay, I'll wait for you in the front hall. After that, Fu Yun hurried out. Watching his leaving figure, Shen Yuiniang's expression changed. Kai Ame. Ma'am, please give me your orders. Take the two of them to Miaoxiang Temple in the south of the city to stay for a few days. They are not allowed to come back without my instructions. Yes. Qing Feng, Yuechi. Mother. Shen Yuiniang deliberately kept a straight face. You guys will stay at Miaoxiang in these days and are not allowed to run around. Otherwise, if I find out again, my mother's punishment will be doubled. The two little girls had a look of fear on their faces. Qing Feng, you are my sister. You should take good care of your sister, you know. I know, mother. After some explanation, he handed the two sisters over to his personal maid. Okay, take them away quickly. Remember, take the back door. Yes. You two young ladies, come with me quickly. Chiu Mei pulled Qing Feng and Yuechi, who turned around 3 times a step, and walked out of the back door. Looking at their leaving figures, Shen Yuiniang sighed slightly. It's not that she doesn't know how to be grateful, but that she really can't bear to let go of her 2 biological daughters. She has to leave her side at a young age and go to the mountains to practice Taoism. When the time comes, we will see each other for years. Mother and son are deeply in love, looking at each other with longing, and experiencing the pain of lovesickness. Is there someone coming? The maid outside the door came in. Lady. You go to the front hall and tell the master that I suddenly feel unwell and it is inconvenient to see guests. Let him take me to apologize to the Taoist priest. Go ahead. Yes. The maid turned and left. Shen Yuiniang took off her coat, walked into the bedroom, and lay down on the bed. At this moment, outside the government office, seeing Su Junming holding a bamboo stick and about to hang a green gourd, Fu Yun was overjoyed, stepped forward quickly, and bowed to the end. Fu Yun has met the Taoist priest. After seeing him for so many years, the Taoist priest's beauty is even better than in the past. It is really gratifying to congratulate him. He stretched out his hand to lift him up and smiled. It's been so many years since I last saw you. You are much richer than before. Thanks to the Taoist priest for curing the stubborn disease in my body, otherwise there would be no hatred today. Please come in quickly. Under Fu Yun's guidance, the two entered the county government office and sat down in the front hall. After instructing the maid to serve fragrant tea. It has been many years since we last met, Taoist master, but I have been thinking about him for a long time. Now that I am here today, I will stay for a while longer no matter what. As long as you don't mind being a poor person, you will naturally want to stay for a while. After a pause, Tian Qiu still remembers what Pandeo said 16 years ago. Of course I remember. Although Fu Tianzhou looked a little hesitant, he still nodded firmly. In that case, let's bring the two ladies out. Counting the time, they have reached the age where they should put down roots. After Fu Tianzhou nodded, he looked around and frowned. This period of time is enough for Shen Yuiniang to come out, why is there still no trace of her yet? Fu Wang. Master. Go to the backyard and ask Madam to bring the two ladies over. Yes. At this time, a maid came forward, saluted and said, Master, my wife asked me to report to the master that she suddenly felt unwell and is unable to see guests. Please forgive me, Taoist priest. Fu Tianzhou was such a smart man. He understood his wife's plan with just a little guessing. Obviously she didn't want her daughter to be taken away by Su Junming, so she said this deliberately. I sighed inwardly. Yu Niang, with Taoist methods, how can you hide this? Although he couldn't let go of his daughter, he knew that she would definitely have to leave her in the end. Just when he was thinking about how to explain to Su Junming, there were suddenly chaotic and rapid footsteps outside. Soon, Shen Yuiniang ran in with Chun Mei in a panic. "Master, it's not good. Qingfeng and Yueqi were kidnapped." "What?" Fu Tianzhou suddenly stood up, his expression suddenly changed. "His two daughters are his sweethearts. What's going on? Please tell me." Shen Yuiniang sobbed, "Chun Mei and I took Qingfeng and Yueqi to Miaoxiang Temple in the south of the city to offer incense. Unexpectedly, we met an old nun as soon as we walked to the street. I don't know what method she used, but she waved her hand and took the two with her. The child disappeared. And a word was left behind." "What words?" "She said that our daughter is destined to be with her, and she will take her back to the mountain to teach Buddhism. She will return home when she succeeds in her practice." You really fail more than you succeed." After scolding his wife, Fu Yun turned his head. "Taoist priest, how do you think this should be handled?" Su Junming glanced at Shen Yuiniang, with a gaze that seemed to be bottomless, making Shen Yuiniang feel that all the secrets in her body were invisible in front of him. "Get up slowly." Although he was a little angry in his heart, he was still able to understand Shen Yuiniang's behavior. If it were him, if he had to be separated from his children for 10 years or even longer, he would probably be reluctant to part with them. And tried every possible means to obstruct it. "Since as early as 16 years ago, I decided to accept the two ladies as my disciples. Of course I cannot watch them being kidnapped by others today." With a little calculation, the heavenly orb in the Danshan was moving, and things soon became clear. "You two, come with me." With a wave of his sleeves and robe, he grabbed Fu Yun and Shen Yuiniang and turned into a spiritual light and disappeared instantly. 30 miles outside Jinhua County, there is a mountain called Lanyu. This mountain is 100 meters high. Although it is low, it is lush with vegetation and beautiful scenery. Along the winding mountain road to the top of the mountain, a two-entry temple is revealed in a bamboo forest. The plaque on the temple is simple, with the 3 characters Miaoxiang and clearly and changeable. After crossing the temple gate, a ray of light fell in the backyard, revealing an old nun wearing a blue monk's robe, with 9 scars on his bald forehead, a serious expression and a thin body. With a wave of his hand, 2 little girls with pink makeup fell to the ground. It looked like it was Fu Qingfeng and Fu Yueqi. However, both of them had their eyes closed at this moment, as if they had fainted. Squeak, the door opened, and a middle-aged nun wearing a blue monk's robe pushed the door open and walked out from the next room. After seeing the old nun, he quickly stepped forward. "Disciple Ruxiang, pay homage to Grand Master Uncle." The old nun nodded with a hint of arrogance. "No gifts." He glanced at Fu Qingfeng and Fu Yueqi next to him. "Congratulations to Grand Master Uncle for getting a good disciple." The old nun's face showed joy. "I would like to thank you for this. If you hadn't told me, I might not have been able to accept 2 disciples with innate Taoist bodies." "Uncle Grand Master, you're welcome. When Ru Xiang was practicing in the sect, it was thanks to Uncle Grand Master's care. Now that he has found 2 good talents, it is also a disciple's duty to recommend them to Uncle Grand Master." Shen Yuiniang often takes Fu Qingfeng and Fu Yueqi to the mountain to worship Buddha, so she is no stranger to Fu Qingfeng and Fu Yueqi. However, because of the restriction left by Su Junming in the ice talisman, even practitioners could not use their spiritual sense to see through the talents of the 2. However, it happened to be a coincidence. Half a month ago, after Shen Yuiniang worshipped the Buddha in Miaoxiang Temple, she accidentally felt the wind and cold, so she stayed here for 2 more days. Fu Qingfeng and Fu Yueqi secretly played with the ice talisman in the back mountain, but she saw them. The 2 magic weapons with ice attributes were naturally very tempting to her who only had the golden elixir. Although it was hindered by her friendship with Shen Yuiniang, she felt that these 2 treasures would be a waste in the hands of mortals. It would be better for her to use them to slay demons and protect one's side. After convincing herself, Nun Ruxiang planned to steal the two treasures and get them into her own hands. Unexpectedly, when it was implemented again, the magic power invaded the bodies of Fu Qingfeng and Fu Yueqi, and the essence of the two innate Tao bodies was discovered. The so-called innate Taoist body is one who is born with hundreds of meridians and 12 inches of Danshan. The body contains innate Taisu spiritual energy. With a little practice, one can break into the innate Taoist genius. Such a genius is also the best choice to inherit the Taoism. Nun Ruxiang was overjoyed, but also became hesitant. Magical weapons are of course precious, but two outstanding talents who inherit the Taoist tradition are even more rare. Originally, she planned to take the two of them into her sect, but after thinking about it, she gave up. Compared with the inheritance of Taoism, it is more important to improve one's own cultivation. In particular, her cultivation has reached the limit of the realm of relics, and she is only one step away from achieving it, which is equivalent to the Buddhist realm of spiritual tranquility of the Taoist nascent soul. But in this step, due to lack of sufficient accumulation, I never dared to cross the threshold. Therefore, I plan to use the Fu sisters as a stepping stone to obtain a piece of the Arhat's golden pill, one of the elixirs of the White Horse Temple. This elixir can quickly replenish spiritual energy and greatly enhance the monk's chance of surviving the catastrophe. However, it is not easy to get this elixir. Not only must you make great achievements, but you must also obtain the permission of Huixinsheni, the superintendent of the White Horse Temple Bodhisattva Court. If she reports the news about the Fu sisters, it will not be difficult to obtain the Arhat golden pill. However, the two innate Buddhist disciples with accompanying magic weapons only received one Arhat golden pill, which made Nun Ruxiang feel very unwilling. After thinking about it for a while, he turned his attention to the nun Xi and Mingshen nun, who was in charge of the Bodhi courtyard and had been cultivating to advance to Yuanshen for many years. After a lot of twists and turns, I finally got what I wanted. Judging from the expression on her uncle's face, it was obvious that she had made the right bet. Become a disciple of Taoist priest for us. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 402. You are very good. Looking at the respectful junior nephew in front of him, Xinming Sheni was very satisfied. Uncle Taishi, thank you. These are what disciples should do. After nodding, Xi and Mingshen and I thought for a moment, then waved his hand, and a red wooden fish flew into Ru Xiang's hand. This treasure is a magic weapon that I used in my early years. It is a top-grade magic weapon with 7 treasure taboos. I will give it to you today. Ruxiang Nun was overjoyed. Thank you so much, Grand Master Uncle, for the gift. After nodding, what you practice is the Bodhisattva Purity Sutra from the 7 true traditions of this temple. Exactly. Although I haven't practiced the sutra, I have seen a lot of practice experiences left by our predecessors in the Sutra Pavilion. I will compile 1 or 2 and then give it to you for understanding. In addition, I have passed on the wisdom heart, and she will give it to you. A grain of Arhat's golden pill will help you survive the catastrophe. Seeing that everything she had originally planned was achieved, great joy filled Nun Ruxiang's heart. However, Xinming Sheni's words made her become ecstatic. If you can successfully overcome the tribulation, the poor nun will accept you as a registered disciple. Registered disciple? Registered disciple. Hearing these words, Nun Ruxiang showed a look of disbelief on her face. Although he is only a registered disciple and not a disciple who inherits the Taoism, he is also a registered disciple of Xinming Sheni, one of the 2 major monasteries of White Horse Temple. With this identity, her status in the White Horse Temple was quickly elevated from an ordinary Jindan monk to a registered disciple of the Yuanshen monk. No matter where she goes, others will respect her. Gain fame and fortune. Such a harvest exceeded Nun Ruxiang's original expectations. After swallowing, he said cautiously, Uncle Grand Master, are you telling the truth? A poor nun never lies, Xinming Sheni frowned, if you don't want to. Yes, of course my disciple is willing. But when I suddenly heard such news, I was so happy and shocked that I couldn't control myself, and even lost my composure. I hope Grand Master Uncle will forgive me. Xinming Sheni nodded and was about to speak when suddenly he frowned and looked northwest. A ray of light flew over at an astonishing speed. It was still far away at first, and the next moment it appeared in the backyard of Miao Xiangan. Qingfeng, Yueqi. As soon as she landed on the ground, Shen Yuiniang couldn't help but want to pounce on her two daughters when she saw them. Fu Yun, who had gone through so many hardships, was calmer after all. And looking at the old nun, he knew that he was not an ordinary person, so he quickly grabbed his wife. Grand Master Uncle, those two are the parents of the two junior master uncles. Nun Ruxiang stepped forward quickly. Ruxiang, it's useless for me to regard you as my confidant. I didn't expect that you would actually collude with outsiders to take away my child. Shen Yuiniang saw this and said angrily. Ruxiang smiled slightly. Yuniang, you don't know something. I am a monk from the White Horse Temple, the top sect in the spiritual world, and my Grand Master Uncle is the head of the Bodhi Temple of the White Horse Temple. He is a rare Yuan Shen monk in the spiritual world. Now the old man is interested in her. After taking over Qingfeng and Yueqi, I will soon accept them as disciples and pass on the mantle. This kind of unparalleled immortality, no one in the spiritual world can ask for it. Now it falls on your child. You and your wife should be happy. You are shameless. You actually asked my daughter to become a nun. Shen Yuiniang said angrily. How can a daughter from a good family become a nun? Only those old ladies who cannot get married and orphans who have no one to care for them will choose to go to a nunnery to become a monk. As for practicing, if she wanted to, she wouldn't hide her two daughters. Nun Ruxiang had an angry look on her face. Why are you so ungrateful? Amitabha Xinming Shen Nun raised her eyebrows and shouted the Buddha's name, two benefactors, although your love is your son and daughter in this life, in the previous life, I was indeed a great saint of my Buddhist family. This poor nun was guided by my Buddha and specially come and enlighten them, so that they can join our Buddhist teachings again, cultivate merits and virtues, and benefit the common people. I don't care about my past or present life, Buddhism and Taoism. Qingfeng and Yueqi are my beloved daughters who were born in 10 months of pregnancy. No one can take them away from me without my permission. Shen Yuiniang said fiercely. It was not like she had never seen a cultivator before, but her father was the general of Zhenbei in the current dynasty, and her father-in-law was the minister of rights. The Shen family and the Fu family had old friends all over the government and the public. With such a strong family background, she was naturally not afraid of cultivators. The protection of the imperial dragon energy and the power of the Xianjing division are enough to frighten the world. Xianming Shen Ni's eyes showed anger. No one has dared to talk to me like this for many years. If she hadn't been concerned that the other person was the father and mother of her future direct disciple, she wouldn't have bothered to say anything and just took him away. Amitabha, we have a great relationship. The old nun has already made it clear to the two benefactors that he will take the two Buddhist disciples back to the temple today. We will see them again in the future when they succeed in their practice. After saying that, the monk waved his robe, picked up Fu Qingfeng and Fu Yueqi, and was about to leave. Taoist priest. Fu Yun looked anxious. Without his reminder, Su Junming would not let this old nun leave. Boom. The strong sound of the bell rang straight towards the old nun. The Buddha's light trembled and quickly stopped. Xin Russianese figure became clear again, but her eyes looking at Su Junming were full of caution. The sound of the bell just now shook her soul and caused her power to become chaotic. Although after she was alert and isolated the sound of the bell, everything returned to normal. But the bell that can shake her spirit must be a spiritual treasure, or a monk of the same level. After looking at the bronze bell hanging on the bamboo stick, She looked at the Taoist priest in green who had never been in her eyes before. Who are you? The poor Taoist Su Junming. Su Junming, Xinming Shenyi's eyes widened instantly. Chongshan Master Su Junming. You know how poor you are, but you still don't let people go. Xinming Shen Ni's face changed, and she became anxious. Although she was a master at the Yuan Shen level, and her cultivation had reached the 4th level of Yuan Shen, she really didn't have the confidence to face the man in front of her. In the past 30 years, there have been more than 1 or 2 Yuan Shen masters who fell into the hands of the other party, especially the old demon from Black Mountain, who even she did not dare to provoke at will. Chongshan real person Su Junming has a reputation that comes from killing. Genren is also a giant in my righteous path. In the past, the 7 unreceipts on Tianmen Mountain outside Zhongzhou City was famous all over the world. If I make an action to intercept people's disciples today, wouldn't it ruin Genren's good reputation? Su Junming smiled lightly. 16 years ago, when I cured Fu Yun's cold illness in Zhejiang City, I left a message that Fu Qingfeng and Fu Yueqi should become my disciples. You can go to Zhejiang City to verify the truth of this matter. I testify that this is true. My 2 daughters have long been accepted by the real person, Fu Yun said. You heard me. For the sake of being a righteous person, I will tell you clearly. If you continue to be ungrateful, don't blame me for being ruthless. Xinming Shenyi's expression changed drastically. She finally found 2 excellent disciples who could pass on the Taoism. It would be too unwilling to just give them up. You are so arrogant, aren't you afraid of offending me, Bama Temple? White Horse Temple? Haha, I destroyed the Black Heart Demon sect, so what about White Horse Temple? This old nun wants to learn from the real person's Taoism. I don't want to give up yet. That's fine, I'll teach you a lesson. The mana rolls like a tide, pouring into the soul-falling bell hanging on the bamboo stick. Waves of black light glowed out, and the bronze bell with its divine light rang loudly. As a spiritual treasure of the 10 spiritual taboos, the soul-destroying bell was activated by Su Junming at this moment, and its power was more than twice as powerful as before. The mighty bell condensed into a line and swept straight towards Xinming Shenyi. Feeling the powerful aura on the bronze bell, Xinming Shenyi was naturally prepared for it. A pinch of Buddha seal. A bright light blue light flew out from the back of his head. Little Chan Tan Buddha light. Buddha light and heart lamp are the top magical powers of Buddhism. It is the result of Buddhist monks' understanding of superior Buddhist principles and their own spiritual brilliance combined with the power of Buddha. It is powerful and is an excellent means of subduing demons and protecting the law. Su Junming was a little surprised when he saw that she was able to refine the small sandalwood Buddha light. This kind of top-notch magical power in Buddhism cannot be cultivated at all without superb cultivation and profound understanding of Buddhist principles. However, although Xinming Shenyi's little sandalwood Buddha light is the top magical power of Buddhism, the light is not considered powerful in Su Junming's eyes. It shouldn't take long to realize it. When the bell touched the Buddha's light persisted for a moment and then disintegrated. His understanding of the soul avenue has reached the pinnacle of the purple fundamental talisman. If it weren't for his lack of cultivation and his body being unable to carry the fundamental talisman of the immortal realm, his understanding of the soul's magic would have been even stronger. Such a state exceeds the understanding of Buddhism by Xinming Shenyi. Coupled with the blessing of the 10 soul-forbidden soul bells, it is naturally impossible for him to resist. After the Buddha's light was shattered by the sound of the bell, Xinming Shenyi was horrified. She knew that Su Junming was very strong, but it was so unexpected that her most proud magical power could be broken by others so easily. Just as he was about to retreat, the bell was already ringing. Dong, a voice like a yellow bell exploded in my ears. Xinming Shenyi only felt that her mind was shaking, her soul was scattered, and her body was light and lost its strength. I don't know how long this state of confusion lasted before Xinming Shenyi slowly recovered. He looked at the Taoist in Xingyi, who had not moved a step in the distance, with a complicated expression, especially the bronze bell hanging on the bamboo stick. With her knowledge, she naturally understood that this was at least a top-grade spiritual treasure, or even stronger. It is rumored that Chongshan Master Su Junming has many spiritual treasures in his hands, and now it seems that it is indeed true. Thinking of this, Xinming Sheni breathed a sigh of relief. She was able to pick it up and put it down. After knowing that others had shown mercy, he did not persist. Amitabha, my skills are inferior to those of ordinary nuns, so I'll take my leave. Without waiting for Su Junming to say more, he turned into a ray of light and flew away. Seeing her back go away, Su Junming smiled faintly. Although this old nun has a bad temper, she is a bachelor. Turning around, he saw the frightened nun Ruxiang next to him. With a wave of his sleeves, a violent wave swept her up and flew out of the mountain. There is nothing wrong in thinking about you. I will give you a gentle punishment and you will not be allowed to return to Jinhua again. He rolled down to the bottom of the mountain in embarrassment. After getting up, he didn't dare to look back and quickly flew out of Jinhua. This is yesterday's second update. I forgot to upload it after I finished writing it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 403. Except for nun Ruxiang, who had been sent away, there was no one else in the entire Miaoxiang temple. Su Junming liked this quiet little temple very much. With a flash of spiritual light, he cleared away the traces of Buddhism in it. After renaming it Chongshan Residence, he led Fuyun and his wife into the hall at the back. Everyone took their seats. Taoist priest, why aren't Qingfeng and Yueqi still asleep? Shen Yueniang asked eagerly. Su Junming flicked his fingers, and 2 spiritual lights disappeared between their eyebrows. With a sound, the 2 little girls slowly opened their eyes. After seeing the surrounding situation clearly, the eccentric Fu Yueqi jumped out of his mother's arms. He activated the ice talisman, his face tensed. Mom, where is that old thief? The Taoist priest has already beaten him away. Taoist priest. Fu Yueqi looked back, with a look of astonishment on his face. Uncle Taoist priest. Fu Qingfeng's face also showed surprise. They never expected to see Su Junming again so soon. Qingfeng, Yueqi, do you know the Taoist priest? When we went out to play in the morning, we met the Taoist uncle. Fu Yueqi rolled his eyes and said before his sister. If the mother knew that they secretly went out to play, encountered evil cultivators, and almost didn't come back, they would have to be slapped on the palms of their hands again. Shen Yueniang didn't delve into it. Quickly say thank you to the Taoist priest. If it hadn't been for him this time, you would have been taken by the old nun to become a monk, and you would never have seen your mother again. The little sister, who has been afraid of her mother since she was a child, thanked Su Junming obediently. Get up. He held them up with both hands, and after waiting for the little sisters to stand up, his eyes turned to Fuyun and Shen Yueniang. Pandeo came south this time to fulfill the agreement he made 16 years ago and accept Fu Qingfeng and Fu Yueqi into my section. Taoist priest. He waved his hand to interrupt Shen Yueniang's words. Pandeo also understands that you, mother and son, are connected. Qingfeng and Yueqi are young, and you would be reluctant to part with them if they were to be separated suddenly. Therefore, before they reached the age of hair, Pandeo taught them in this Chongshan residence that they can go down the mountain once every 7 days. Reunite with you. In that case, what do you think? Yueniang, Taoist priest has already taken great care of us. You can't argue with us anymore, Fuyun said quickly. Shen Yueniang nodded. Taoist priest, if Qingfeng and Yueqi become your disciples, what about their future marriage? Poverty Taoist disciples are not allowed to marry. If they find someone they like in the future, there is no harm in forming a Taoist couple. After a pause, his eyes were only on Shen Yueniang's. However, Pandao's disciples will not abide by the orders of their parents or the words of the matchmaker. If they don't want to get married, even if you two come forward in person, don't blame Pandao for being rude. Shen Yueniang's expression was stagnant, but looking at Su Junming, who was strong and kind to her family, she couldn't say anything. Fu Yun looked at his silent wife and quickly bowed and saluted. Everything is in accordance with the Taoist master's wishes. Seeing her husband nod, Shen Yueniang did not object any more. Since you all agree, then take the sisters back. 3 days later, Pandao will officially accept them. After speaking, Daxia waved his hand, and a violent wave swept up the four of them, flying into Chongshan residence. The four of them only felt the strong wind roaring around them, their bodies felt light and fluttery, and the surrounding scenery flew away. When the surrounding clouds dissipated and the feet stepped on solid ground again, they realized that they were in their own backyard. Wow, sister, did we fly just now? Fu Qingfeng, who was usually calm and composed, looked excited at the moment and nodded vigorously. It's so fun. I will also work hard to practice in the future, so I can fly around soon. Fu Yueqi raised his little hand and shouted. As soon as he finished speaking, a slap came over him. Fly, fly, you know how to play in one day, come in with me. Seeing her mother, Fu Yueqi obediently put down her arms and walked into the room with her sister. Bang, the jade pen wash worth thousands of gold was smashed to pieces. Ao-kun, who was wearing a dragon robe, was furious. Why did I feed you? Xiaju has been dead for 3 days, and you can't even find your whereabouts. Your Majesty, it's not because my subordinates didn't try their best. It's because the 9th prince left with his subordinates without telling them where they were going. We searched all the prefectures and counties within 100 miles of both sides of the lower reaches of Longjiang River, but we couldn't find him. Traces of the 9th prince. A general in armor said respectfully. If you can't find it within 100 miles, just 200 miles. If you can't find it within 200 miles, then 300 miles. If you can't find it again, don't come back. Seeing the Dragon King's cold eyes, the general's heart trembled and he said quickly. My subordinates will do their best. Go. The general bowed before slowly retreating. A bunch of losers, they piss me off to death. Father, we can leave it to General Crab to find the whereabouts of our 9th brother. With the strength of our Longjiang Shui tribe, we believe there will be news soon. On the contrary, the Dragon Palace Fairy Gathering will be held in a year's time. Father, we have to leave it early. Prepare. A young man wearing a light golden robe and a feather crown next to him smiled. What my son said makes sense. You were responsible for preparing this matter last time, and this year's Dragon Palace Fairy Gathering will also be left to you. Thank you for your trust, Father. But I have another idea that I need your father's support for. My son, it's okay to say so. The Dragon Palace Immortals meeting held by the Longjiang Aquatic Tribe is a grand gathering held every 30 years in Daong. The visitors are either strong men in the nascent soul realm or the top Yuan Shendaxio in the spiritual world. Naturally, this time also no exception. Ao-kun, the Dragon King of the Yangtze River Water Tribe, nodded. It's just that the trace of Su Junming, a well-known Chongshan master in the spiritual world, is hard to find. The child has been searching for a long time but has not found any trace of him. This matter requires the father to come forward. Contact the Minister of Xianjing Division Ye Zhen and see if they can contact him. Go to Chongshan Master. Moreover, the Xianjing Division has influence all over the world. If you want to find Genren Su, you need their help. Ao-kun nodded and said, since the Black Heart Demon sect was annihilated, Su Junming, the real person of Chongshan, has the status of being the #1 cultivator in Daeong cultivation world. If the Immortals Association of Dragon Palace does not have his participation, I am afraid it will be greatly eclipsed. My child thinks so too. Aokun pondered for a moment. I'll go to Zhongzhou City. Xianjing Sitng Pavilion is good at calculating heavenly secrets and can know the past and the future. If General Crab can't find any clues about your ninth brother's murder, I'll have to ask them for help. Aou nodded. What the father said is true. However, the ninth brother has a high level of cultivation and is protected by a white dragon fan. He can kill him silently without leaving any trace. I am afraid that the murderer has a very advanced level of cultivation. A major overhaul of the gods is also possible. Aokun's expression changed. Yuan Shen monk. Although your ninth brother always likes fishing, he is not an arrogant person. How could he provoke the Yuan Shen monk? My child is just guessing. Whether it is true or not, I'm afraid we will only know after detailed investigation. Aokun nodded, pondered for a moment, and waved his hand. Okay, you go down and do your work. My child, please leave. Aou bowed and saluted, then exited the room. Looking at the empty hall, Aokun looked stern. Shenur, don't worry, my father will find out all the people who killed you and then cut them into pieces. Playing with the white dragon fan in his hand, although this treasure is a spiritual treasure, it only has one spiritual ban. After briefly thinking for a moment, he grasped it with his left palm, and the white dragon fan's spiritual barrier collapsed, leaving only the pure innate Taisu water aura, which was absorbed by a blue bead. After receiving a great dose of tonic, the water and pearls shine brightly. Su Junming's fingers were flying, and he quickly practiced the ninth treasure taboo of Shui Lingzhu. He stretched out his hand, and a bowl-sized orb slowly flew down into his palm. After playing with it for a while, I put it in my bag. Calculating the time, it's time to bring those two little guys back. With a sweep of his spiritual consciousness, the entire Jinhua county was instantly enveloped. At this moment, in the back hall of the government office, Shen Yuiniang was packing things for the little sisters. Kai Ame, bring over the cotton clothes I knitted for them last time. The maid hurried away. Fuyun saw this in his eyes and couldn't help but persuade, Madam, it's spring and summer now, and winter will be 2 or 3 months away. Why are you bringing them cotton clothes? She rolled her eyes at him. What do you know? It's extremely cold at night on the mountain. If you don't bring more clothes, what will you do if you freeze at night? Fuyun looked helpless. The mountain was not even 100 meters tall. It was just a slope at best. There was no difference in temperature between the top and bottom. But judging from the look on his wife's face, it was obvious that she couldn't listen. Madam, Qingfeng and Yueqi can come back in 6 days. Why do you bring so many things to them? 6 days are so long, how can we not bring more things with us? Madam, it's almost time, should we set off? Hurry, hurry, hurry. I still have a lot of things that Qingfeng and Yueqi haven't packed up. Fuyun was criticized so much by his wife that he simply stopped talking. There was no result after saying so. Su Junming's consciousness felt the situation at the scene, especially the large and small bags of things Shen Yuiniang prepared for her 2 daughters. Not to mention living in Chongshan for 6 days, even the first half of the year was enough. My mother is worried about my son traveling thousands of miles away. It's really not bad at all. However, they are not here to play house in Chongshan. If they can't even endure a little hardship, how can they become my Su Junming's disciples? With a gesture of his hand, Fu Qingfeng and Fu Yueqi, along with some of their clothes, were swept up into the sky by a spiritual light. I took Qingfeng and Yueqi away, and you two didn't know how to see each other off. In addition, I have set up a ban on Kongshan's residents outside the mountain, and no one is allowed to enter. You are not allowed to come and disturb them unless they rest on the seventh day. There was a lingering sound, and the voice was none other than Su Junming. Seeing the spiritual light disappear, Shen Yuiniang, who was stunned for a while, burst into tears. Fu Yun, who saw her like this for the first time, couldn't help but panic and quickly stepped forward to comfort her. "Why are you crying? It's only 6 days and it will pass soon. Qingfeng and Yueqi have never left my side for so long since they were born," Shen Yuiniang sobbed. "Yuniang, the children will grow farther and farther away from us every day. You have to learn to accept it." "I don't accept it. We of Yuo, Qingfeng, and Yueqi are only 6 years old." Looking at his crying wife, Fu Yun sighed and felt something in his heart. "Yuniang, don't cry. My husband has a way to make you feel better." "What can I do?" Shen Yuiniang raised her head. Fu Yun smiled, lowered his head and said softly, "Now that Qingfeng and Yueqi are not around, why don't we give birth to another child?" When Shen Yuiniang heard this, her ears instantly turned red. He lightly punched his husband on the shoulder with his fist. "Damn it, what if someone hears you say something like this in broad daylight? Hey, you and I, we are still afraid of what others say." After saying that, he hugged his wife's slender waist. She rolled her eyes at him charmingly. "We'll talk about it tonight." Fu Yun's heart became hot. This is the first update today, there will be another update tonight. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 404. Great, I'm finally free. As soon as Fu Yueqi landed, he jumped 3 feet high, cheering and congratulating himself that he no longer had to be controlled by his parents. "Qingfeng has met uncle." Looking at the 2 little guys with pink makeup and beautiful designs, Su Junming nodded. "You guys come with me." Fu Qingfeng pulled his sister, and the 2 obediently followed Su Junming into the house. "Go through the hall to the meditation room next to it. A portrait hangs on the north wall. The person in the portrait is wearing a yellow Taoist robe, a mahogany sword on his back, and glasses on his face. Judging from the image, he is the Taoist priest with 4 eyes. However, compared to the cynical eyes, the person in the portrait has a solemn expression and is extremely majestic. Under the portrait, there is an offering table. On the offering table were tributes such as melons, pears, and peaches, as well as an incense burner the size of a bowl. The fragrance of 3 sticks curled up in the incense burner, and blue-white clouds rose slowly and slowly dissipated. Kneel down." Fu Qingfeng took his sister and knelt down on the 2 yellow futons under the incense table. "The person in this portrait is your Tai Shizu Taoist priest 4 Eyes. He kowtows 3 times with me." The little sisters worshipped Su Junming 3 times and offered incense respectively. Su Junming sat down on the chair next to him. "Your great master has 2 disciples. Besides me, you also have a master uncle. However, your master uncle has no intention to follow the path and should have passed away by now." Saying that, Su Junming couldn't help but sigh. Jiali has not entered the innate world, and his lifespan is only 2 decades. Now he has practiced Taoism for nearly 100 years. Counting the time, if Jiali is alive, he should be 100 years old. However, in an environment where the laws of heaven and earth are at an end and spiritual energy is declining, it is difficult for even practitioners to live to the end of their lives. Your master and uncle have no disciples, so you two don't have to worry about it. As for your master and me, we have 5 disciples in total now. The eldest disciple is also your master's uncle named Qinzhong, the second uncle's name is Lin Zhenying, the third senior uncle's name is Qiao Shaoxin, and the fourth senior uncle's name is Yan Chixia. The 5th disciple of your uncle is also your 2 disciples. My name is Su Huang." The phoenix egg had no name. After Su Junming awakened, he gave her the same surname as himself, and then gave her the name Huang. "Master, where is our master?" The most lively Fu Yueqi asked curiously. Your master is currently practicing in seclusion and cannot teach you for the time being. Therefore, in the next few years, you will first practice with your master. The phoenix is a fairy bird. If it wants to break out of its shell, it must be nurtured by strong spiritual energy. Although Su Junming has absorbed spiritual energy for nearly 100 years in the cave of Daihuang Mountain, it is still a little bit behind. In particular, after absorbing the innate Taishi Ice Qi in Fu Yun's body, Su Wang's original power is stronger. If it is hatched, it will naturally require more spiritual energy and longer time. Master, when will Master be released from seclusion? Fu Qingfeng asked. When you succeed in cultivation, you will naturally meet your master. Okay, let's kowtow. From now on, you will be the third generation disciples of my Su Junming section. Fu Qingfeng and Fu Yueqi kowtowed 3 times in confusion. Su Junming flicked his fingers, and the phantom of a bronze mirror flew into their danshan. The little sister touched her belly, but nothing happened, and her round face showed confusion. The charming look made Su Junming smile on his face. The bronze mirror is the same as the Mission Nan Sex suppressing spiritual weapon Nine Lao Immortal Capital Divine Fire Seal, and it is also his sex suppressing spiritual weapon. Only his direct disciples will give it to him. Although it is just a phantom of a bronze mirror, it still has the ability of a bronze mirror. Such as gazing, clairvoyance, dispelling evil spirits, protecting the mind, and most importantly, blessing understanding. Although the effect of a phantom is very limited compared to the bronze mirror in Su Junming's danshan, it can at least double the understanding. The lower the cultivation level, the greater the benefits. Moreover, as Su Junming's cultivation improves, this phantom's blessing on understanding will be even greater. Over time, as long as your understanding is not too poor, you can naturally expect to become an immortal in the future. Come out with me. The little sisters quickly got up and followed Su Junming to the yard. Now, I will practice your own boxing techniques, and you will practice with me. Yes, master. Su Junming nodded slightly and said, this boxing is called Dao Fist. It is a boxing technique learned by the master by combining the talents of hundreds of schools. It is divided into 3 parts: pile skills, routines, and breathing techniques. The boxing force is powerful and continuous continuity is the best for laying down roots. Today I will hand over the routine to you first, and tomorrow I will teach you Zhuang Kung Fu and breathing techniques. Look carefully, the first style is called Chaos Inexplicable. Su Junming raised his legs and palms with skillful and smooth movements. Fu Qingfeng and Fu Yueqi are already very talented, and with the help of Bronze Mirror Phantom, they can basically master it with just 1 lesson. A month has passed and the 2 little guys have mastered the Dao boxing skillfully. Snapped. A wooden board hit Fu Yueqi's butt. Practice seriously and don't look around. The little girl pouted her mouth and peeked at the thin middle-aged man wearing a red Taoist robe and a cold expression next to her. She didn't dare to neglect and quickly started practicing her boxing skills. She has never had a good day since her master asked this hateful guy to supervise her and her sister's cultivation. Get up at 2 a.m. every morning and meditate for half an hour. Then half an hour to freshen up and have breakfast. Next, I read in the morning, practiced boxing in the afternoon, and recited Taoist scriptures in the evening. I couldn't go to bed until about 1:30. This happened every day, which greatly disappointed Fu Yueqi, who originally thought that he could play freely and boldly after leaving his parents. She thought about taking advantage of the opportunity to go down the mountain on the 7th day and never come back again. But no matter how she hides, she will be caught by her master, and she will be beaten up by this hateful red-robed Taoist. I cried and made trouble, but it didn't work at all when the hard-hearted red-robed man was in front of others. By now, Fu Yueqi has become numb and used to it. Looking out the window at the 2 sisters who were practicing hard under the supervision of the puppet body, Su Junming nodded with satisfaction. Children have no character and don't know the rules. So it must be a stick education at the beginning. Only when you become sensible in the future can you use principles to guide you. Lin Zhenying and Xiao Shaoxin came here this way, as did the hundreds of thousands of orphans in Chongshan Academy. Facts have proved that this method really works. After watching for a while, Su Junming returned to the quiet room and started practicing. Now that he has cultivated to the 12 transformations of the nascent soul realm, he only needs to polish his magic power to be pure enough, and then he can start to overcome the tribulation. Is there no news about Ambassador Xiao Zhen yet? We have been searching for 5 years, and we only know that the place where Governor Xiao disappeared last was the South China Sea. However, the Xianjing Division's power in the South China Sea is too weak, and the sea is vast, so my subordinates are really powerless. Please forgive me. Ye Gaiyun sighed. Since Xiao Hunga was rejected by Su Junming, he had been in seclusion for 2 years. When the door was opened, it was empty. There was only the seal of the envoy of Zhou Town of the Xianjing Division, but there was no trace of Xiao Hunga. Ye Gaiyun ordered the Xianjing Division to search for it for 5 years, but still found nothing. Thank you for your hard work, go down and rest. Sir, what about Xiao Zhen's envoy? No need to look any further. He knows Xiao Hunga, a ruthless woman who never looks back until she hits the wall. Whether it's in practice or emotionally. Unless she wants to leave and come back, even if she finds it, she may not come back. Su Junming, I really don't know whether I should thank you or hate you. Although he helped the Xianjing Division to annihilate the Black Heart Demon sect and stabilize Daong's rule over the 7 provinces south of the Yangtze River, he also allowed his most capable man, a newly promoted Yuan Shen monk, to leave his hometown. Shaking his head, Ye Gaiyun sighed. Suddenly, a spiritual talisman flew in from outside the door. After Ye Gaiyun caught it, a line of text was reflected in the sea of consciousness. Aokun, the master of the Longjiang water tribe, asks for an audience. Aokun? What is it here for? After thinking for a moment, Ye Gaiyun stood up. Aokun, who occupies Longjiang, is a dragon king of the 6th level of Yuan Shen. Now that he is here, he wants to see him no matter what. Stepping out the door, he came to the reception room of the Yamen of the Xianjing Division headquarters. Aokun, wearing a gorgeous dragon robe and a flat crown on his head, was sitting there drinking tea. After hearing the footsteps and seeing Ye Gaiyun approaching, he put down his teacup, stood up, and cupped his fists in salute. Fellow Taoist, yeah, I haven't seen you for a long time, but you still have the same style. It's really gratifying. The Dragon King is too polite. Why do you have time to come to me today? Do you, fellow Taoist, yeah, remember the Dragon Palace Fairy Gathering of Immortals held every 30 years by our Longjiang aquatic tribe? Ye Gaiyun suddenly realized. So, it's time for the new Dragon Palace Immortals meeting to be held again. Just 1 more year. After saying that, Aokun took out 3 jade invitations from the magic bag and handed them to Ye Gaiyun. These 3 invitations are for the 3 envoys of the Xianjing Division, and I brought them with them. After Ye Gaiyun took it, he looked through it briefly and then put it on the low table aside. The Dragon King has many things to do and is busy with affairs. Now that he has come to the Yamen of our Xianjing Division headquarters in person, I'm afraid it's not just as simple as sending these 3 invitations, right? Haha, as expected, I can't hide anything from fellow Taoist yet. This time I personally paid for it, and there are still 2 things that I need fellow Taoist yes help for. You and I have known each other for many years, but the Dragon King said it doesn't matter. As long as the Xianjing Division can do it, Ye will do his best. In that case, I will thank you in advance. Dragon King, please speak. After Aokun nodded, he organized his words. I heard that the real person Su Junming of Chongshan has a close relationship with the Xianjing Division. Yagayun's expression changed. The Dragon King's intention. Don't get me wrong, fellow Taoist yet. This king has no ill intentions. It's just that the new Dragon Palace Immortals meeting is approaching. Without Genrensu to attend, this grand event will lose its luster. This matter shouldn't trouble fellow Taoist yet, but I have no intention of troubling you. I asked for the contact information of Genrensu, so I asked fellow Taoist. Yagayun breathed a sigh of relief. So that's what happened. Don't worry, Dragon King. Every time the immortals of the Dragon Palace meet, there will be countless treasures that are rare in the world of cultivation. With Master Su's level in the art of weapon refining, he will definitely be interested. Then please convey it to fellow Taoist yet. This matter is on my shoulders.